Top, Knoxville, Tennessee, for a battle for supremacy in the Volunteer State. The homestanding Vols taking on Shane Foster and the Vanderbilt Commodores. It's always a great one when these two teams get together, but this afternoon, there's a lot on the line as homestanding Tennessee takes on number 23, Vanderbilt. Hi again, everybody. I'm Dave Baker alongside Joe Dean Jr. Joe, we're here in February now. These games really mean something, and this is a biggie in the SEC East.
Yeah, second half of SEC play is huge. Vanderbilt has two big road wins. They want to come in here and sweep Tennessee today at 6-3 in the league. This would be a monumental win for Vanderbilt. Tennessee at 4-5 in the league. It's critical today. They have to hold serve at home, and to do that, they have got to have a healthy Chris Lofton. He had 29 in the earlier game in Nashville, a 1-point loss to Vanderbilt. I talked to Chris yesterday. He says he's about 80 to 85% healthy. Hopefully he can give him a little more offense today, Dave.
Absolutely. Joe, what are your Pontiac keys to the game?
Well, for the Vanderbilt Commodores, they have got to execute against the Tennessee full-court press. Kevin Stallings wants to push it and score against that press. Vanderbilt's defense will be such that Tennessee will have to watch the back door. Tennessee wants to pressure, they want to turn you over, but while they're pressuring on the perimeter, they have to be conscious of the Vanderbilt backdoor cuts.
Two teams extremely well coached. They can really put the ball in the basket, and we are going to see a good one this afternoon. The Volunteers hoping to close the door and hoping to rise up on Rocky Top. In league play, 14.8 points per game. But the big key, as we talked about, Joe, is going to be Chris Lofton. Just how much can he go? How hard can he go? What do they do with him in defense? That'll be the key, I believe, for Bruce Pearl's team. And as we take a look at the two coaches, Kevin Stallings has had lots of reason to smile this year as his Commodores got off to a 1-3 start, and they've won 15 since. And there's Bruce Pearl. In honor of Ray Mears, he breaks out that orange jacket for the big rivalry games, Kentucky and Vanderbilt. And so there you go. He's got it on today, as his Vols are really in need of a victory today. The jump ball is brought to you by Alltel Wireless. Take the MyCircle head-to-head challenge at alltelcircle.com and see how the competition stacks up against MyCircle.
Kevin Stallings talked to me this week, Dave, about their man-to-man defense. It's been very effective, tougher, and more physical than we've known previous Vanderbilt teams to be. They held Kentucky to 67 in Rupp Arena earlier this year.
And they have extended that defense early and are making things tough. You see Vandy with the 4 guards, and there's Lofton, and that's a good sign for the Vols.
He only made 1 field goal in the win over LSU Wednesday night, actually Tuesday night, and that's a huge confidence builder for Chris Lofton.
He missed 4 games with that badly sprained ankle, played 21 minutes the other night. But as Joe said in the open, Chris believes he's about 80 or 90%. And we'll see how that translates into production on the court.
You'll see a lot of baseline cuts in the Tennessee half-court offense. Biggest thing for Tennessee's offense is their spacing.
And when they can hit shots like that, that spacing is only going to get better as Wayne Chisholm, maybe a little bit out of his range, but boy, he knocked it down.
I asked Bob Kessling, the Vol radio announcer, about Chisholm yesterday at practice, and he said he thinks he's a guard.
Nice cut in the lane, and Byers can't get the floater to go.
Tennessee wants to run. Both teams love to push the ball and try to create early shots in their early offense. You see the spacing of the Tennessee offense. Nobody in the lane area. Opens up driving lanes.
And the guy that'll do the majority of that driving is Dane Bradshaw. When he drives, he's looking to pass, not so much looking to shoot. There's Chisholm again. Oh, my God.
Wow, that's unbelievable. What a start for Chisholm. Comes in shooting 29% from three-point range. And he's 2 for 2 here early and gets this big crowd into the game.
And the Commodores still looking for their first point of the game. Tennessee 3 of 3 from the field, and they look to extend An 8-0 lead.
Bruce Pearl likes to either score early or score late in the possession. They either like to push it in transition, look for layups or quick shots. If they don't have it, they back up and they run this little baseline shuffle offense.
Chisholm's got the hot hand, and he's got it in his hand again. That time, though, good defensive position by Ross Neltner.
There you see some physical play by Neltner inside against the freshman Chisholm.
There's Neltner with the basketball, the transfer from LSU via Fort Thomas, Kentucky. Nice dish inside, but Foster can't get it to go. And then the putback is blocked from behind by Jawan Smith.
Well, getting this thing started with a bang right here is the SEC's leading scorer, Chris Lofton, knocks one down. And then Wayne Chisholm, the freshman, let's get it in early. A little stirring music, Dave Baker in Knoxville, Tennessee. And then a rejection by Jawan Smith.
Vanderbilt has missed its first 4 from the field.
Vanderbilt's a veteran team.
Now make it 5 in a row as Byers kicks a 3 off the back iron. We talked about it earlier. The penetration and pitch from Bradshaw leads to a Jawan Smith 3, and Kevin Stallings is going to talk it over. Tennessee 4 of 5 from the field. They lead it by 11. We're back after this message from Vanderbilt University. Joe, some guys look to penetrate and score, but not Dane Bradshaw.
Yeah, just like you talked about, Dave. He penetrates, draws the defender, kicks it out, and Jawan Smith, as a junior, is playing as well right now as anybody in this league. He's 4th in the SEC in scoring right now in SEC games at 17 points a game. And just the confidence that Bruce Pearl gives to his shooters is one of the reasons why they knock him down with such regularity.
Bradshaw averaging almost 5 assists per game. He's already got 2 here in the first 3.5 minutes. Byers looking for any little crack, but great defense by the Vols as the shot clock winds down. Gordon got one up over Lofton, but it rims out.
Vanderbilt's getting nothing at the basket. The Tennessee defense very strong early on.
Nice dish inside. And it's up and in by Duke Cruz, who lost the handle for a moment. He's just checked in, and it's been all Tennessee early. 13-0 Volunteer run to start the game. But Foster gets the first bucket, and he'll have a chance to turn it into a 3-point play for the Commodores. Vanderbilt is finally on the board, but the Vols have had it their way early. We know you're enjoying it if you're a Tennessee Volunteer fan early on, as the Vols scored the first 13 points of this one to run out to a 13-0 lead, but Vanderbilt finally gets on the board. As you see the Tennessee bench and you see those coaches in those tennis shoes, as you take a look at Wayne Chisholm, that's because this is the coaches versus cancer game where they're drawing awareness to the fight against cancer, and both coaches participating. Bruce Pearl kind of looks like a frat guy there.
He does, with his orange coat. You know, they were telling me that this week he went to the school cafeteria and stood at the end of the line as the students walked through to get their trays and shook hands with all the students. Really encouraged them to come out to this big game here today. I tell you, you talk about a major league promoter of his program. Bruce Pearl is the classic.
I was afraid you were going to tell me he went to the school cafeteria and took his shirt off.
No. He says that was a one-time deal.
Commodores complete the 3-point play as Shane Foster hit the free throw. And now you take a look at Jordan Howell, who's in there. Ryan Childress has just checked in, and that is the first miss for the Vols from outside the 3-point line. Tie up, and on the alternating possession, it goes to the Commodores.
Vanderbilt's been a much improved defensive team, as we talked about, guarding the basketball, playing more physical, but their Achilles heel on that end of the floor is defensive rebounding. Kevin Stallings told me this week that we're probably going to be near the bottom in block shots and rebounding. We have got to be a scrappy 5-man rebounding team.
And what they've done is they've traded some defense for offense, Joe, because they primarily play that 4-guard set.
That's exactly right. Teams, 5 guys who can all pass it and shoot it. It's hard to defend any one particular guy for Vanderbilt.
Dan Cage off the curl. Floater won't fall. And the rebound is to Juwan Smith, his second.
Both these teams have guards who go in and rebound a lot for their teams. Neither team has great post players at this stage.
Oh, my gosh. That was from up on Summit Hills Drive right there. Juwan Smith, 2 of 2 from outside the arc.
You can see the field goals there. Tennessee 6 of 7. That makes up for a lot of ills when the ball goes in the basket.
Boy, and that ball's going to go in the basket a lot more frequently with plays like that. Great feed from Duke Cruz to Josh Tabb. And now the Vols have their biggest lead at 15. Scoochis got a hand on it but couldn't hold it. And boy, this is just one of those things that if you're over there on that Vanderbilt bench, you just hang in and hang on as long as you can.
Well, you got to love the young players at Tennessee who are getting a lot of playing time. You saw 2 freshmen right there, Duke Cruz and Josh Tabb, getting the layup. And when Chisholm hits the 2 threes, and of course Ramar Smith has been maybe the best freshman in the SEC this year. That's 4 young guys for the Tennessee Volunteers who are showing a lot of maturity for this basketball team.
There you see 0, Jermaine Beal, who's just checked in for Vanderbilt, another young guy, freshman from DeSoto, Texas. There you see him guarding Howell.
You see how spread out as Howell turns it over. Unconscious here early in this game. You saw the earlier Dane Bradshaw assist to Jermaine Smith, and then Ramar Smith throws it to the freshman. Duke Cruz, freshman to freshman. Juwan Smith again from downtown.
Tennessee 7 of 9 from the field. Vanderbilt just 1 of 8. And a whistle away from the ball, and Tracy Woodson has got an intentional foul call.
Well, Duke Cruz is a kid from Hampton, Virginia, who's got a lot of toughness to him. He won't back down from anybody. I didn't actually see what happened, Dave. You might have.
I did not.
But he obviously put his hands, or maybe elbowed, Allen Metcalf right there.
And Duke Cruz is going out of the game. My guess is that Bruce Pearl saw the same thing. And Tracy Woodson was very emphatic.
Yeah.
I mean, he absolutely saw it.
He was all over. I have a feeling that Bruce is saying that Metcalf got the first shot and you saw the second shot. Let's see if we can see it. Yeah, right there. There's the left elbow by Metcalf, and then the right shot by Duke Cruz. Metcalf definitely initiated it in the post-up with a little elbow to the chest, and then Cruz with the emphatic shot to the head. That's what got him on the bench, and the intentional foul.
And credit Tracy Woodson and that officiating crew. That was absolutely the right call, and just a case of Cruz, the young man, losing a little self-control for a second. Metcalf is certainly a banger for Vanderbilt. You're going to have to absorb some shots and keep your composure against a player like that.
Shane Foster's going to put a lot of pressure on Chris Lofton, knowing that with that bad ankle, he's not capable of driving by him.
Howell penetrates. Can't get it to go.
Good defensive possession right there by Vanderbilt. They've turned up their intensity level, much tougher on the basketball and shutting down the drives to the basket.
And Joe, you talked about their toughness on defense. I don't think they could have extended the defense like that in the past, the way they just did on that trip.
Absolutely, I would agree. I just think it's a lot of maturity with Foster and Byers. Certainly Alex Gordon's a tremendous athlete at the point guard position.
Metcalf can't get that one to go. Third rebound for Childress. There's Lofton penetrating, finding an open man cross court. And Chisholm has that one go a long ways down and pop out. Oh, the hustle has been there. The frustration's there as well, as the Vols continue to lead the Commodores. Tennessee faithful, and they've had a lot to cheer about so far as they lead number 23 Vandy by 14. And Joe, when you talk about potent combinations, they've been slowed obviously by Chris Lofton's injury, but when these guys are healthy and rolling, they can flat get her done.
Tennessee has struggled with the loss of Lofton. He missed 4 games, and it's hard to make up 20 points a game from that young man. Juwan Smith has picked up his scoring. He actually is averaging over 17 points a game against SEC competition. You look at him right there with a couple of threes early. Young man from Decatur, Tennessee, McMinn County High School, 6'2" junior, outstanding player for Bruce Pearl's team.
Of course, Lofton got the first bucket of the game. He's hit the only shot he's taken. And there you see Vanderbilt, the 3-minute and 45-second drought. The Commodores have missed their last 5 field goal attempts.
You got a mismatch with Josh Chabb, 6'2", inside on Ross Neltner.
Boy, look at the defense there. Ramar Smith coming up with a D and getting the block for the Volunteers.
Yeah, that was against George Drake, also a freshman.
Chisholm gets pushed inside. Hey fans, log on now to LF for complete rules and details.
And you do that at your own risk.
Yes, you do. Drake gets called for the foul as Wayne Chisholm, who's hit a couple of threes, can't connect on the second one, but he keeps it alive, and Lofton has got it back for the Vols. There's Bradshaw with a penetration, and Lofton. That's the kind of Chris Lofton play that these fans have become accustomed to, and something that they have seen oh so infrequently the last several weeks.
And here comes the full court pressure. Now Vandy wants to score out of this.
Foster, boy, was that a big basket for the Commodores as they had fallen behind by 18. First tray of the day for Vandy. And Chisholm has been unstoppable.
He looks like a veteran today. A lot of confidence halfway through his freshman year, starting to get the feel of this game.
9 for Chisholm, and look at him rip down the rebound. His 4th. Wayne Chisholm, 6'9", 245, the freshman out of Bolivar Central. As it goes out of bounds and back to the Commodore.
Yeah, well, this guy right here, you got to account for him. Bad ankle and all. He still can shoot the 3 with the best of him, knocks down the jumper, and then in transition, big shot for the Commodores right there.
Boy, a lot of similarity with those two guys,
yeah,
Joe.
absolutely.
I mean, they both got themselves squared up, great shooting position, and just flat knocked them down.
Yeah, great action fundamentally on their shot. Both play with a lot of confidence. And both juniors.
Byers can't find any room, and they swing it around to the backside, and Beal doesn't hit anything. And Ramar Smith can't connect on the slam in transition. Foster the other way.
Emphatic. Ramar Smith should have just laid that ball off the glass. Freshman mistake, and Foster at the other end makes him pay. Great job on the run out.
And Byers is going to get called for the push at the other end.
Well, after the missed Ramar Smith shot, Foster, Bonneville High School.
And there's Ted Skuchis, much improved from a year ago with a rebound for Vanderbilt. And there's Byers. His first 2, if he can get things going, that would be quite a tonic for Kevin Stallings and company.
Vanderbilt's got to shoot perimeter shots well. They do not have a lot of offense around the basket.
Bradshaw keeps it alive. Gets it back. And Childress had trouble with the handle, but the most important thing, he got the finish.
Second time, Dave. We talked about Kevin Stallings' philosophy of running the ball and shooting the three quick.
And Childress is fouled by Skuchas. The interesting thing about what Vanderbilt has been doing, Joe, is I don't know that I've seen a team this year attack as quickly in transition off of a made field goal as Vanderbilt does.
Well, that comes from the old Dean Smith, Roy Williams philosophy of pushing the ball after made baskets. But Kevin Stallings feels like if they shoot the three quick in transition when the Tennessee defense is scrambling to get set up, even if they don't make it, they have a better opportunity to get the offensive putback.
As you take a look at our Dr. Pepper scoreboard early on this Saturday afternoon.
This afternoon in the SEC, we've got all Eastern Division teams playing against each other and all Western Division teams. And I'll tell you, every game here, the last 8 or 9 SEC games of this season, critical as teams jockey in this league to get to the NCAA tournament.
Byers.
Not a good shot. Kevin Stallings will talk to Byers about that. He's a great player, but that was not good shot selection.
Boy, and look at Howell come back. Vanderbilt had put together a little run, but Jordan Howell out of Auburn, Alabama, gets the bucket, and then Gordon just makes an unforced error. Threw it back to Cage.
Jordan Howell is 6 inches in front of that sideline. Little funny rotation right there on his shot, but he gets to go. Young man out of Auburn, Alabama, who has played extremely well this year and filled in admirably when Lofton was out with the bad ankle.
There's Ramar Smith on the penetration. And Metcalf able to tap it over to Gordon. Foster. Boy, Vanderbilt had just gotten into some rhythm, and I think 2 really quick shots the last couple of times down.
Little impatient.
Gordon couldn't get it to go, and Metcalf. Rick Crawford and company are going to have to watch Metcalf a little bit. He's saying he was shoved, but it's been the Vols who have been shoving around the Commodores.
Huge game up in Rupp Arena. And you see the 4 SEC teams, Florida, Alabama, Kentucky, Vanderbilt, all in the top 25. And LSU and Tennessee have been there. And, of course, Kevin Stallings has really got his Vanderbilt team going. 6-3 in the league, as we mentioned earlier, Dave. And big wins over Kentucky and Rupp Arena. 2nd year in a row, Vanderbilt has done that. And then they went down to Baton Rouge in the Bayou. So 2 road wins, a chance today here to sweep Tennessee.
5 wins over nationally ranked teams this year. They have certainly shown their mettle to this point. But as you mentioned earlier, Joe, an awful lot of basketball still to be played.
It really is. And it's just too early to start predicting how many teams in this league could get in the tournament. Outside of Florida, teams 2 through 12 in this league, Dave, can all beat each other on a given night.
Resume.
You know, they've got some great wins. Of course, you see the win over Georgia Tech. As you mentioned, 5 wins over top 25 teams. I don't think there's any way, unless something really goes haywire for Vanderbilt, that they won't make the tournament.
I would agree with that. Cage working the baseline, nowhere to go. Boy, I'm telling you, there are some folks clearing some folks out today. It is getting awfully physical in this one. Metcalf lost the handle, and it goes back to the
unfortunate turnover for Vanderbilt, but you can see what Kevin Stallings said to his team at the timeout. They've been taking too many three-point shots, very impatient in their offense, and on that trip, they drove it to the basket twice, once right there by Cage, and then Alex Gordon drove it and tried to throw it off to Tennessee. Has done an extremely good job of in this ball game.
And you saw a moment ago Cage with that shot to the chops on Chisholm. Juwan Smith off the glass. And all Kevin Stallings can do is laugh on the sideline. Man, he was on the line, threw it off the board. That's the kind of day it's been for Tennessee. Tough shot for Metcalf. He can't get it to go. But Howell was in there trying to box out, and they're going to call him for pulling down Ross Neltner.
What an incredible job he's done with this program at Tennessee. Inherited a team that was 14-17, turned them into Eastern Division champions last year, 22-8, got to the second round of the NCAA tournament. And Dave, I think, doing a tremendous job this year with a very young team.
Tennessee gets the steal off the inbounds. 5th turnover by the Commodores.
Got Neltner on Bradshaw. That is really a mismatch. Bradshaw will look to drive Neltner at every opportunity.
And look at Chisholm drive, and that's why you don't want the big guy putting the ball on the floor.
Right now at 4-5 in the league, a little bit on the bubble, but they have great out-of-conference wins over Memphis, Oklahoma State, and Texas. You see their big losses, and their RPI is in the top 20, and they have one of the toughest schedules, non-conference schedules in the country.
I guess the big question will be, how does the committee take a look at the 4 games Chris Lofton didn't play?
They will definitely take that into consideration because Tennessee lost 3 of those 4, had a big win over Georgia. And I guess the question this year, and this could really be something that we'll discuss as we get closer to March, would a 7-9 team in this league get an NCAA bid? It's only happened one time since the league went to 12 teams in '92. That was Alabama back in 2003. Got in as an at-large with a 7-9 SEC record.
We talked a little bit about how this Vanderbilt team has matured, gotten tougher, but uncharacteristically, as Tennessee gets called for the turnover, the Commodores have turned it over. There's Neltner working on the low box against Chisholm. Nice move by Ross Neltner as Chisholm commits the foul.
Basketball.
Well, I can assure you the other guys on the list that they were more interested in scoring than they were passing.
That's right. Probably the best of that list, you'd have to say, would be Jeff Lebo, because he was such a great high school player and played at North Carolina. But Billy Donovan was great. Mark Godfrey can shoot it. Andy Kennedy at UAB, I got to see him quite a bit. He was phenomenal shooter for Gene Bartow at UAB.
So Vanderbilt has now gotten its first points in about 3 minutes and change after having closed it to 10. Duke Cruz, not a good idea to put it on the floor.
No, Dave, and you can see that Duke Cruz and Wayne Chisholm, both the big guys for Tennessee, while they play out on the perimeter, they still need to improve their ball handling skills out there. There you go. So they're trying to attack the basket now. Out of that last timeout, Kevin Stallings' point of emphasis was, we can get the three-pointer anytime we want it. We got to attack the basket more and put pressure on the defense of Tennessee.
And I think what they've done is they've done a nice job of identifying a matchup there. Neltner just too quick for the big guys as Lofton gets hammered inside. And Tennessee fans collectively hold their breath when he goes down like that, but he's right back up.
You see Tennessee has had problems handling the basketball here the last 3 possessions. Bruce Pearl talking to Wayne Chisholm about playing out on the floor under control.
Neltner gets called for the foul, and they say that the foul was committed during the drive and not in the act of shooting. So Dane Bradshaw inbounds for the Vols. There's Cruz, and he was held by Neltner.
There's the little 4-out baseline underneath out-of-bounds play that Bruce Pearl executes so well. Got the ball right into the middle of the lane for Duke Cruz, and Vanderbilt had nothing, no choice to make there but to foul, and Cruz will go to the line.
Neltner gets called for his second. Ted Skuchis comes in to replace him, and Vanderbilt now over the limit.
I always like to give kudos to student athletes in the league who perform well in the classroom, and Ted Skuchis, an engineering major for Vanderbilt, has already graduated and is in graduate school now at Vanderbilt University. That's quite an achievement.
It's no easy deal there.
Absolutely.
Cage kicks it back out to Juwan Brown, who now sets a screen.
Got a size advantage here. Foster on Lofton.
Beal, no place to go. Probably should have taken the shot. Tried to create something, and the Commodores turn it over again. Nice pass from Bradshaw, and an even better lead for Cruz.
Well, give Josh Tabb, the freshman out of Carbondale, Illinois, the credit right there for the nice assist. Freshman to freshman.
Great interior passing by the Vols. And they're able to box out at the other end. Execution. It has been awfully good for the Volunteers early on, and that's why they enjoy a big lead at home. Oh, we've got a good one going on here in Knoxville. We've heard Rocky Top an awful lot today. From the pride of the Southland Band, Dave Baker, Joe Dean Jr. here at Thompson Bowling Assembly Center in Knoxville, where the Tennessee Vols have a 15-point cushion over number 23 Vanderbilt. Dave Behringer is our producer. Roy Alfers, the legendary Roy Alfers, our director today.
Well, you can see the story of this game. The field goal shooting of Tennessee has just been unbelievable. Vandy, with that 1-14 start, they've picked it up, attacking the basket more the last several trips down the floor. Rebounding is even also, and that was a point of emphasis for Bruce Pearl in practice yesterday, that when they are even or win the battle of the boards, they almost always win the game because of their offensive ability to make shots and penetrate. When they've lost the battle on the boards, they normally don't win the game. So that's always been a point of emphasis.
Tabb off the left-handed dribble, leaves it back out, and that shot no good by Juwan Smith. Foster knocked it away from Tabb, and the Volunteers will inbound once again as we take a look at our Dr. Pepper scoreboard.
Good look at George Drake there, coming in, a redshirt freshman from Calera, Alabama. Played in 4 straight state championship games for Robert Burdett at Calera High School.
Smith off the penetration, the bucket, and the foul.
Ramar Smith is one of those tough Detroit, Michigan guards who comes in here with a fearless, confident attitude. Takes it right to the lane, draws the foul, and gets the ball to drop. You know, a lot of players can get to the lane, but not every player can finish plays. Ramar Smith did it beautifully right there for Tennessee.
Beal gets called for the foul as Smith gets his 3rd point.
Love to press off the made field goals and free throws. Vanderbilt does not fear this press at all. They all handle it well. Kevin Stallings wants to try to execute against it and get some good, easy shots.
Well, I tell you, it's pretty obvious what Bruce Pearl has tried to do in the half court, Joe, is to really extend that defense and not let Vanderbilt get into any sort of rhythm, not let them trigger that offense as they get another turnover.
That's exactly right. They want to disrupt everything you're trying to do. They want to force you into drivers, not let you run offense by passing the ball, setting screens. They want to force you to put it on the floor, and then they can attack the dribbler.
Eight turnovers there by the Commodores. The Volunteers have kicked it away 6 times.
There's the back door. Anytime you're overplayed, go to the basket, and there's the press and the Vanderbilt turnover. Tennessee with 3 freshmen on the floor. Right off the back door cut. Great passing. Tabb with the layup, and out of the made field goal right into the press. Forced the Vanderbilt turnover. Tennessee playing on all cylinders right now here in Thompson Bowling Arena.
And Bruce Pearl takes the 32nd timeout. And you want to talk about ball movement, Joe. 12 assists on 14 made field goals for the Tennessee Volunteers. There's a timeout on the floor, and as the teams discuss strategy, you should too. Get someone to talk with you out at this point in time, Joe, with everything going as well as it is.
Well, I think that he's taking the momentum that his team has built to say to the guys, we've got 2 minutes to play in this half. We don't want to let up and let Vanderbilt get on a roll right here in the last 2 minutes. We want to take this big lead into the locker room. And if the Tennessee players could describe Bruce Pearl one way, I think they would say he gives me confidence as a basketball player. And that's why you see these young freshmen playing at such a high level.
they have played at that high level on both ends of the court today. Neltner now checking Bradshaw.
See, excuse me, that's just a tough mismatch. Neltner at 6'9", and Bradshaw's about a 6'4" point forward, if you will, and Bradshaw got around him easily right there.
And Bradshaw immediately saw it and immediately tried to take advantage of it.
Well, Bradshaw's a smart player. He's a senior out of Memphis and recognizes what's going on the floor. One of the leaders of the Tennessee team.
Consultation on the part of the officials. Tracy Woodson came over to confer with Carl Hess.
Now here's the out of bounds underneath. 4 across on the baseline. You see the crossing action. We're looking for the shooter on the opposite corner. Vanderbilt defended it very well.
Shot clock doesn't reset. It's now down to 10. And Smith picked up his back foot. And that's just one of Vanderbilt's droughts today. They've had several.
And credit to Tennessee defense. It's been outstanding, as you mentioned, forcing turnovers. They try to get deflections. That was one of the things Bruce Pearl harped on in practice here yesterday. Deflections, deflections. Get your hands on the passing, in the passing lanes of the Vanderbilt offense.
Vanderbilt, which has had such great success on offense this year. They've not only been proficient, but efficient. Only 6 made field goals in this first half.
Wow, that's amazing.
Gordon, long 3. He got a good look at it, and he knocks it down.
Big, big basket for the Commodores right there, just to close the gap a little bit and give Vanderbilt some confidence.
And right after that made basket, Kevin Stallings was up off the bench over on the Vanderbilt sideline. You can hear him all the way over here. He's like, get a stop.
Well, they need one desperately right here, does Vanderbilt. They have just been worn out in this first half by a very aggressive and confident Tennessee team.
And there's Childress again. His 4th. Gordon, nice cross-court pass. He got an awfully good look at it, but couldn't get it to go. And a foul underneath. Bradshaw is going to be whistled for the foul against Foster.
Well, the last Tennessee possession, Childress right here just caught the ball in the lane, breakdown defensively for Vanderbilt. Can't allow a guy to catch it that deep and take it right to the rim. Beautiful job right there by Ryan Childress, the 6'9" sophomore.
Vanderbilt not in the bonus yet. They put it in play with less than a second between the game clock and the shot clock in terms of a differential. Gordon in all kinds of traffic. The announcers for this game are selected and compensated by Lincoln Financial Sports, and Lincoln Financial Sports is prohibited. Boy, and look at that defense. Ramar Smith into the passing lane. And Drake wasn't going to give up the layup, but more great anticipation, more great Tennessee defense.
Yeah, uncharacteristic turnover by Ross Neltner. Just threw the ball right to Ramar Smith, who knifed into the passing lane. Great defensive play there, but bad mistake by Neltner. He knows better. 6'9" junior. He's a 4th-year player, having transferred from LSU, and is having an excellent year for Vanderbilt. But right there, a tough mistake right before the half.
Earl the Pearl, who's got the numbers for us here on the sidelines, reminds us that Vandy is number 2 in the SEC. Only 12.5 turnovers a game, and they've already committed 10 here in the first half.
Well, there's the story right there. The turnovers, and a lot of that is because the pressure defense of Tennessee has been so effective.
"21 points, the biggest lead that the Volunteers have had today. It has been one bang-up half of basketball for Tennessee, and the Commodores trying to put some points on the board before the final horn. And normally a guy like Dan Cage would knock that one down, but it's been that kind of day. There you see that Vanderbilt has matched its lowest halftime output of the season, 21 against Lipscomb back in December. Yeah, they've kicked it over, but you got to credit the Vols, who played some great defense as well. At the break in Knoxville, Tennessee has doubled up the Commodores.
SEC basketball is brought to you by the new AT&T, by Aaron Sales and Lease Ownership, by GMC, by Q Motor Oil, and by Ruby Tuesday.
Hoops back at the Thompson Bowling Arena in Knoxville. It has been all Tennessee here in the first half as the Volunteers lead number 23 Vanderbilt 42-21, and the Vols got it going early. I mean, when Wayne Chisholm is stepping back beyond the arc and knocking down threes, and then you got Jawan Smith rolling as well. You even got some extended hours.
The bank is open for Jawan Smith. 13-0 run to start.
Like an ATM deposit, Joe Dean. Boy, just very unexpected here. Vanderbilt has been a team that's been solid all year. They have been rattled, but you've got to credit Tennessee because they've taken it to the Commodores.
Well, Vanderbilt can certainly play better than they played in the first half, but we've got to give credit to Tennessee. I mean, they've out-rebounded Vanderbilt. They've shot 59%. But here's the key, and you mentioned this, Dave. 16 field goals for Tennessee off 13 assists. They are really giving the ball up and finding open men for easy baskets.
And Vanderbilt only averaging 12.5 turnovers per game this year. They've already turned it over 10 times in the first half of play. Let's go ahead and take a look at our Advanced Auto Parts drive to the SEC Championship standings. There you take a look at the East, and you see why a game like this is so critically important for Tennessee.
Yeah, it gets Tennessee to 5-5. If they can hold on here and win this game, Vanderbilt would go to 6-4, still in pretty good shape. Florida, Kentucky tonight, that's going to be unbelievable in Rupp Arena.
And in the Western Division, the Wild Wild West, as we've talked about all year. Boy, they're rolling here on Rocky Top, and so are their Vols.
Aaron sells more high-definition widescreen TVs than just about any.
Fans, log on to lfsports.com now for a chance to win an HD TV and home theater system in the Score Big contest presented by Alabama Tourism. Each week, a new finalist will be selected and will receive a Gulf Beach getaway. Visit lfsports.com for complete details. Back here to Thompson Bowling Arena, Dave Baker, Joe Dean Jr. Boy, some people looking for a getaway today with this score, as number 23 Vanderbilt trails Tennessee 42-21. Taking a look at early scores from around the country. You get set for the second half of play, and Joe, in terms of highlights, I mean, the highlights are there, and they're there for the Tennessee Vols.
Well, there's highlights for both teams. We'll look at them, but Tennessee was the story for Vanderbilt. Shane Foster got one three-point basket in the first half. He was only 3 of 9 shooting. Here's one of them, a dunk in transition. He leads Vanderbilt with 8 points. Ross Neltner with his only field goal of the first half for Vanderbilt. Tennessee was on fire, shooting 59% on three-point shots like this. Jawan Smith, 3 of 4. And Chris Lofton giving Tennessee an emotional lift. He made 2 field goals in that first half of the assists, 13 assists. You see Duke Cruz finishing. That has been the story for Tennessee, their ball handling.
As we take a look at the first half stats, we told you that this matches Vanderbilt's season low in terms of first half scoring output. It is also the most first half points that Vanderbilt has given up since they gave up 45 earlier this year to Toledo. Kevin Stallings has identified that game as a big one in terms of a turnaround point for this team. They were down double digits, and they're facing another double-digit hole here this afternoon. The Vanderbilt Commodores and Kevin Stallings looking to dig out of that big hole. Can they do it? The answer coming up next.
Toyota. And by Advance Auto Parts.
The Volunteer Band has had a lot to play about this afternoon as Tennessee leads number 23 Vanderbilt by a count of 42-21. The Vanderbilt scoring situation is not something they're accustomed to. Look at those numbers as opposed to average.
Well, that's pretty clear right there, is the fact that Vanderbilt's struggling on the offensive end, and they just have not handled the Tennessee pressure very well in this first half. I guarantee you that Kevin Stallings lit into them at halftime, and we're going to see a more sense of urgency, although right off the bat, Tennessee runs everybody outside in the backdoor cut for the easy layup.
Bradshaw with the dish to Ramar Smith off the backdoor cut in first possession. Absolutely outstanding execution for the Vols. There you see the Tennessee leading scorers, and Wayne Chisholm, the guy who came out and hit 2 big threes, really got the snowball rolling for Tennessee.
Yeah, he did. 9 points and 6 rebounds in the first half for Chisholm. You know, the back door right here was set up because Bruce Pearl knew that Vanderbilt was going to come out with fire in their eyes in the second half and pressure out on the perimeter. So he ran everybody up to the perimeter and then back cut Ramar Smith for the wide open layup. That's just a great job of coaching right there by Bruce Pearl. A lot of false movement by Tennessee on the baseline, just trying to get the defense to move, spread the floor, and then open up drives to the basket.
Volunteers spread the floor, shot clock under 10, and that wasn't the look they were looking for. Byers got a wide open look.
And that's what you want. Vanderbilt push it in transition, get set and 4 out on the perimeter, ball reversal all the way around the horn, and Byers was wide open. That's good offensive execution by Kevin Stallings' team in the transition game.
8 points for Byers. Foster, the first man in double figures in this game with 10, gets credit for the assist. Smith in trouble, and he walked.
To Vanderbilt from the University of Virginia.
And you saw those Vanderbilt players up and on their feet. In years past, this might have been a mountain too high for them to climb, but the toughness they've shown this year, even though they throw it away on that possession.
We talked about in the Pontiac Keys to watch the back door, and Ramar Smith overplayed on one end, covered the backdoor cut. That forced the turnover. Nice defense by the freshman.
Chisholm wanted to pull the trigger on another 3. And Smith with a tough lay-in, can't get it to go. But Chisholm was pushed underneath, and I believe they're going to get Neltner for the foul.
Neltner at 6'9" is more of a finesse player. He is not physically as strong as even the freshman Wayne Chisholm, and Chisholm muscled his way into the basket that time and got that foul underneath.
And that's the 3rd against Neltner. Tough jumper off the inbounds, won't go for Juwan Smith. 5 rebounds for Cage.
Chisholm got the timeout, I believe. I think they're going to give Tennessee a timeout here. And now they got a technical on Chisholm, I believe.
There's a timeout. We'll sort it out for you. It's Wild and Woolley here early in the final 20 minutes. Off of something as innocuous as this, Jody.
Yeah, it's just a scramble, loose ball. Neltner and Chisholm on the floor, and you see the physicalness there. Chisholm got the timeout, but then said something inappropriate to Ross Neltner. You see Neltner smiling at him because Rick Crawford, the official, ran in and called a technical foul because of something that Chisholm said.
Yeah, he was doing some woofing down there at the bottom of the pile. I don't know whether he was woofing at Neltner or woofing at the official, but whatever it was too much woof. And there you see Dane Bradshaw trying to explain the do's and don'ts of dealing with officials.
Well, Bradshaw is basically saying to the freshman, you know, it's okay to get upset and play physical, but you've got to maintain your poise. You can't let guys get to you that way by pushing and shoving. And I think Chisholm just got a little frustrated because Neltner's been pushing him and shoving him a little bit.
And the second time that that's happened to the Volunteers today, of course, earlier in the first half, Duke Cruz got called for that intentional foul. And, of course, the technical counts as a personal. So 3 now on Chisholm. And Cage has got, excuse me, Joe, first point of the day for Dan Cage.
And Cage came in here shooting unbelievable. Wow. Chisholm with some emotion right there. I tell you, he's a good-looking freshman. It's the first time I have seen him up close and personal, and he is impressive. Wayne Chisholm.
First ball in double figures with 11. As Neltner has it taken away, and Lofton leads the break, but Juwan Smith got his feet tangled up.
Breakdown defensively by Vanderbilt. Wayne Chisholm sees the opening, runs down and plays a little stufferino for the Tennessee Volunteers.
Boy, had Ross Neltner almost out of bounds just with one ball fake there. Foster thought about it, but put it on the ground. Tennessee's really done a nice job today, Joe, closing out on shooters.
And guarding the basketball. You have not seen a lot of penetrating moves to the lane by Vanderbilt. Tennessee has closed those off today with their good on-ball defense.
Neltner had to put one up, and it was a bad shot. Good defensive trip for Tennessee. Hey, fans, be sure to visit the Dr. Pepper Fan Fair at the SEC Tournament. It's 10th.
You'll be on the floor running that, won't you?
I think we will.
Yeah, you're kind of like a Pat Sajak when it comes to that stuff like that.
I can tell you there's no Vanna White in my deal.
I hear you.
Cruz can't get it to go. And Tab had it go off of Gordon underneath. So Tennessee retains possession.
Anytime you attack the basket the way Tennessee does and Cruz did there, it always opens up offensive opportunities on the backboard.
Bradshaw got himself in all kinds of trouble. And the Commodores run off the turnover. Byers can't get it to go, and Smith with a rebound, his 7th.
Good execution by Vanderbilt to get the easy look in transition. Byers couldn't get it to go.
Golly, Earl was telling me that, and I looked at the sheet. I'm like, my goodness, Juwan Smith with 7 boards. Oh, it's been kind of ragged, and that has been to the advantage of the Vols, who still lead big in Knoxville.
28.
On the new CW.
Night, 15 steals, 20 LSU turnovers. They really made it awfully tough on Big Baby and the whole gang. And then today, 7 steals in the first half for the Vols, Joe, and they've got 9 for the game.
And that's what they average on the season, 9.3. That is first in the SEC. They're 11th in the SEC in rebounding, 11th in the SEC in block shots. But the way they do it is with their defensive pressure. They turn you over, and they try to convert those turnovers into easy points on the offensive end.
And you want to talk about a defensive shield in that first game. And there's another steal. And the Commodores take it right back. Foster. Wow. Just cannot get it going. In that first game, the Vanderbilt won by a point. The Commodores shot 50% from the field. Today, just 22%. And Gordon gets called for the foul. As we mentioned going to the break, it's the first against Gordon. Choppy on both ends here in this second segment. Both teams, second half.
Yeah, both teams just trying to play more physical. I know that Kevin Stallings had to light his team up at halftime about their effort and energy. Tennessee had it in the first half. Vanderbilt did not have it as well as they needed to. And so consequently, play's getting a little sloppy.
Nobody's scored in the last 2:45. Childress underneath. He's held by Foster, and that's an example of just what you were talking about.
High School in Cincinnati. I like their out-of-bounds series right here. The 4 on the baseline. They ran this in practice quite a bit yesterday. Vanderbilt defended it well there.
Josh Tabb, Lamar Smith working it out front. Tennessee with that 3-guard lineup. As Smith penetrates, and he's called for the offensive foul.
Take that charge.
There you see the turnovers, and they continue to mount for both sides, especially here in this more physical second half. And there's 2 of the most physical guys on the court. Scoochis working against Duke Cruz. And Rick Crawford says Scoochis scooch'd the feet.
Yeah, Kevin Stallings doesn't like that call at all. That's one that, look at him. Yeah, I agree. I think that could have been a no call. Scoochis was simply throwing the ball back outside. It wasn't an advantage-disadvantage situation.
We're now at nearing the 14-minute mark here in the second half, and Vanderbilt's last field goal came at the 19-minute mark.
Well, Vanderbilt's defense is better, but they've not been able to capitalize on the offensive end.
Boy, what a great drive by Tabb. He gets the bucket, and he'll go to the line for 1.
Josh Tabb, the freshman, driving it to the goal. Tremendous athlete, a left-hander out of Carbondale, Illinois, and he will go to the line. Dave Baker. Too many Daves we got.
You're forgiven.
Thank you. But he has not made a free throw in forever. That's the 3rd free throw of the year for Josh Tabb in 10 attempts.
Bruce Pearl really likes the defense he plays. He's really wanted the offense to come along, and this is the 2nd Saturday that I've seen the Vols, and you can see the young guy, and you've seen it as a coach.
Yes.
You don't know when it's happened, but all of a sudden the light comes on, and it's fun to be a part of.
When I talked to Bruce Pearl yesterday after practice, he wanted to talk mostly about his freshmen. The 4 freshmen that we've seen play such an integral part of this game today. Cruz and Chisholm, Tabb, and certainly Lamar Smith. And he just said, you know, we're pretty good right now, but we're going to get even better in the future.
Our Aaron scoreboard rolls on. And Chisholm switches out on Gordon. What a mismatch there. But once again, Tennessee in the passing lanes. Smith with a great lead. Oh, my goodness. Lofton.
I tell you, the roof would have caved in if he'd have made that. Oh, the crowd absolutely went crazy on this play by Lamar Smith and Wayne Chisholm behind the back. Reverse dunk, 360. That's 2 freshmen, ladies and gentlemen. Detroit, Michigan behind the back. Bolivar, Tennessee. Wayne Chisholm. Let's look at it one more time. The crowd came unglued right there.
And Chisholm, look at the up and under move.
I tell you, this crowd is showing their appreciation for an absolutely phenomenal effort right here by the Tennessee Volunteers. To be leading a very, very good Vanderbilt team by 24 points at this stage of the game is remarkable, and it just speaks to the energy and the intensity of the Tennessee team.
We talked about the crowd, 21,493 here at Thompson Bowling today.
That guy deserves a lot of credit. He has just lit up the East Tennessee nation here in Knoxville. They're coming out in droves to support this Tennessee basketball team.
26 points. Vanderbilt 0 for its last 6. They haven't scored in 6 minutes as Metcalf draws the foul. Tabb gets called for the foul, and There you take a look at the field goal, and it is not a good story for Vanderbilt.
Well, you can just see it. 23%, 1 of 7 here in the second half. Vanderbilt's defense has been better in the second half, the first 7 minutes, but they have not been able to get it done on the offensive end, to the dismay of that gentleman right there, Kevin Stallings.
And Metcalf gets the second to break a long drought. But it's only about a drop of water in the desert. Chisholm.
Now, there's no doubt who the star of this game is.
Nice of Wayne Chisholm to invite us here for his coming out party. 16 points, 7 rebounds. He's 6 of 9 from the field, 3 of 4 from outside the arc. And he's got the play of the day. Beal, nice drive as he picked up the loose ball and finished on the drive.
Beal's a good athlete, a 6'3" freshman out of DeSoto, Texas. Kevin Stallings likes his physicalness. He's strong and aggressive. Going to be a good one for the Commodores.
Wow. Earl tells us that's only the 9th field goal by Vanderbilt on the day.
Yeah, that's remarkable.
Lofton with a penetration.
You could.
And he'll go to the line. Wayne Chisholm. It's not the Old West, but we've been on the Chisholm Trail today.
Well, it's been the Wayne Chisholm show here on Rocky Top today. 3 out of 4 from three-point range. The freshman out of Bolivar, Tennessee, has been the story. Watch the jam against the Vanderbilt defense. And in this sensational play by 2 freshmen, Ramar Smith behind the back, reverse dunk, Wayne Chisholm. And there you see his numbers, 16 points, 7 rebounds on 6 of 9 shooting, Dave Baker.
Boy, you know, Joe, the thing about it on that dunk, I mean, the thing that's so exciting is not only was it one of those plays that brought the house down, but I mean, he almost turned completely around the athleticism. I mean, he just didn't throw that back in over his head. He about windmilled the thing. It's unbelievable.
You know, my thought process when I saw him catch the ball, he had his back to the rim. I thought he was just going to throw the ball back out.
Right.
And he turned and dunked it. I was just amazed, and the crowd was too. I mean, they just went crazy when that play happened.
And they went crazy when Chris Lofton, who's back in the lineup for the 2nd straight game, hit his first shot coming out today to get things going. He's got 7.
Yeah, he's getting a little better every game. You can see it. He only had 2 in the win over LSU Tuesday night. Looks much better today. Still not 100% though. You know, he has the same injury that has plagued Ronald Steele at Alabama all year, a high ankle sprain, and the trainers will tell you that that ankle, it usually takes 6 to 7 weeks to really get over a high ankle sprain. Plus, he has a bruise on his ankle. That ankle not only turned over, but it jammed against the floor when he did it. So he's still got some rehab to do.
Problem is, at this time of year, you don't have 6 or 7 weeks.
You don't, exactly. And when he's on the floor, not only do they love his leadership, but the defense has to account for him.
There's Lofton. Kicks it back out, and there's Chisholm. I'll tell you, beside Wayne Chisholm, Ryan Childress gets his 7th rebound, and that young man from the football school, Cincinnati Moeller, he dropped 20 pounds in the offseason, and he's given his Tennessee team a nice lift today as well. We're coming back with more right after this message from the Southeastern Conference. Baker, Joe Dean Jr. with you. And certainly the 21,000 in here at Tennessee faithful, they've enjoyed it this afternoon as their Vols have dominated a good Vanderbilt basketball team. Byers tries to shake Bradshaw. But again, Bradshaw not known for his defense, but a nice trip there. And Smith gets the runner to go.
That's what I like so much about Ramar Smith, that not only can he get inside, but he really knows how to finish the play and make the basket.
Chisholm throws that one away. He lost his headband when he hit the floor down there. It must have been like Samson without hair.
What a game he's had today. The big fella, 245 pounds of romping, stomping basketball player.
16 points, 8 rebounds, as he'll get a rest here at the 10-12 mark of the second half.
When I look at that score at the bottom of the screen, Dave, I'm just dumbfounded. I am absolutely. I mean, this Vanderbilt team's ranked 23rd in the country. And,
deservedly so.
Absolutely. I mean, we had them. I had them when they won it at Rupp Arena in Kentucky. They were tremendous that day. But take your hat off to Tennessee. I mean, it's been all volunteers this afternoon on both ends.
Tennessee now using some clock and turning over the offense. And Byers bumps Lofton. Fourth against Byers as you take a look at the field goals and the turnovers. I think as we saw Chris Lofton there, Joe, the thing that should be encouraging to Tennessee fans is the number of times that Chris has put the ball on the floor today and tried to create off the dribble. That says to me that he's feeling better about that angle.
Getting a little stronger. And as you look at him at the foul line, it was interesting to note that in his first 2 years at Tennessee, he went to the free throw line 101 times combined in the 2 years. Already this year, that's his 94th free throw attempt. So again, as we see the ankle, the most famous ankle in the SEC right now, we take our hat off to Chris Lofton, who's really learned to take it to the basket more and get to the free throw line.
I told him, I said, I hope those socks help because they're not the prettiest things in the world.
What a tremendous young man he is. He had a smile on his face yesterday when we spoke to him and said there's no way you're going to keep him out of this SEC race.
Talked about Byers picking up that foul a minute ago. He had 25 points on a 10 of 16 effort in that win at Vanderbilt as Neltner scores there.
I think that's. Go ahead, Dave.
Today, Byers only 3 of 11 from the field.
I think that's the first time that we've seen Vanderbilt run their patented screen, slip the screen, which Neltner just did, fake the screen, cut to the goal, get the pass, and lay it in. They haven't done that very much today. And again, the Tennessee defense has shut it down.
Bradshaw got caught that time, and Foster finishes it off, and he'll go to the line. Foul, and Foster gets his 13th point as he completes the three-point play.
Tennessee with 4 guards in the game, and Duke Cruz, a 6'7", somewhat post guy.
Just spreading the floor right now and letting those athletes create off the dribble. That time they ran the shot clock down and Ramar Smith had to create it, and it wasn't the shot that Bruce Pearl was looking for. Neltner got Cruz up in the air. Ross Neltner, not a guy in terms of size that you'd like to have in the post, Joe, but
Kentucky Mr. Basketball from Fort Thomas, Kentucky.
Of course, Neltner was the Kentucky Mr. Basketball in 2003. Chris Lofton was the Mr. Basketball there in 2004. Howe got a good look but couldn't get it to go. And Byers still having one of those days that he'd like to forget, but look at the hustle by Neltner. 10 points now for Ross Neltner. And despite being in a huge hole, Vanderbilt showing some signs of life. Howe off the kick out. That one rattled way down and came out. And Neltner was fouled underneath. 4th foul against Duke Cruz. And the Commodores have been moving it up and down. for the Vanderbilt Commodores. Tennessee has had a 3-minute field goal drought. That, not coincidentally, is about the amount of time that man, Wayne Chisholm, has spent on the bench. But Vanderbilt trying to come back from a 32-point deficit, which is the biggest lead for Tennessee this afternoon against the 23rd ranked Commodores. Neltner completes the 3-point play.
Always recruited well in the state of Kentucky. Scott Drought, Phil Cox, number of players.
How? That time he got it to go. And they must have changed their call on that other one because Neltner made the basket. They must have called it on the floor. As you look at our Aaron scoreboard. Cage. Boy, it's been a long time since he's gotten a look like that.
Yeah, I think that may be his first one. He came into the game shooting 50% in SEC games. 1 for 4 today. Dan Cage, is they have really keyed on him defensively on the Tennessee sideline.
Now there is some spurting that can happen in this game. You know, people, whichever team you cheer for in this league, people talk about letdowns or whatever. I just think that Lofton got it to go off the nice fake. I just think the talent's so close, Joe, that if you hit a stretch where you're not getting it done, there's enough talent in this league where people can close the gap. Foster.
Again, that's what happens when you attack the basket. Defense is out of position. You can get offensive rebounds much easier, and that's what Tennessee relies on.
One of the first conversion attempts that Wayne Chisholm has not been able to make today. Howe with a kick out. And boy, he's starting to feel it now.
He's back, isn't he? He's back. The man, the leading scorer in the SEC, Mr. Chris Lofton out of Maysville, Kentucky.
9 of his 14 in this half of play. And folks, with a timeout on the floor, it's time for our Charles Schwab time to talk. If the teams discuss strategy, you should too. Get someone to talk with you, not at you. Talk to Chuck. Charles Schwab. And you know, Joe, is Chris Lofton gets heated up. Kevin Stallings tries to figure out what to do about it. That makes it even much more impressive, the margin that Tennessee has built up with a Chris Lofton who's still trying to get his feet back underneath it.
Well, I think everybody's in shock here this afternoon. Everybody watching, and Kevin Stallings was at that time out, was simply coaching for the next game. This game is probably too far out of reach with 6 minutes to go. About things that they need to be doing defensively in their offensive execution to get ready for their next game next week.
And Carl Hess with a whistle out on the floor. And of course, coming up next, and more pushing and shoving underneath. Neltner showing his frustration. He got tangled up with Dane Bradshaw, and he gets a warning from Tracy Woodson. As Gordon misses the second, but gets it back on the tap from Cage. Chisholm with his 9th rebound as he's just 1 board away from a double-double. It won't come from assists.
I don't know who Chisholm thought he was throwing that ball to. Michael Jordan retired quite a bit ago.
Thought he was throwing it to Chisholm. Chisholm to Chisholm. Boy, nice defense there by Howe to cut Byers off. Cage, long 3, won't go over Bradshaw. And Chisholm had a hand on it but couldn't control it. And Neltner gets the bucket.
Neltner's continue to battle inside for Vanderbilt. He doesn't have a lot of help inside. He's really the only semblance of a post player for the Commodores as they have perimeter guys around him. But that young man right there showed a lot of toughness and grit. You have to take your hat off to him today.
And it was Chris Lofton who got tied up and needed some help, so he calls the timeout. And the Tennessee Vols Earl was showing me a stat just a second ago, Joe. Tennessee has 25 field goals. They've gotten those 25 field goals on 21 assists.
Has it all. I mean, when you are giving the ball up the way Tennessee has today, you're almost impossible to defend. And these Tennessee players have been well coached, and they know in their spread offense, when they get the ball inside of the defense to the lane area, and the defense has to rotate to shut down the penetration, somebody is open. Bruce Pearl and his staff have taught his players how to make good decisions in that situation to find open shooters.
And our Red Lobster, nothing but net shot of the game. I don't think we needed a secret ballot to figure out what this was going to be.
Well, we've seen this several times, and behind the back by Ramar Smith, the reverse jam by Big Wayne Chisholm. That's got to go in the highlight package when we show up in March at the Georgia Dome in Atlanta.
Might have to start calling that move the Chismill. Juwan Smith thought about it, cross court to Lofton. Got a good look at it, but couldn't get it to go. And Gordon is fouled as he penetrates. And Joe, let's take a look at the road ahead for the Volunteers.
Well, you know, they still have a lot of work ahead. This will get them to 5-5 in the league. That's key for Bruce Pearl. But even Kentucky, even here at home, will be a tough out. Alabama at home will be a tough out. And then they still have some tough road games, as you see at South Carolina, Arkansas in the last game, at Georgia. Of course, Florida comes in here too. So I tell you, that's not an easy schedule right there.
You know, the league has just gotten so bad. I mean, you know, it's very difficult to find a stretch. I mean, you saw that Kentucky game. Of course, Kentucky comes in here Tuesday night after getting #1 Florida tonight.
Especially in the Eastern Division. I mean, if you're in the East, you have to play Florida twice. You have to play Kentucky twice. You have to play Vandy and Tennessee twice. It's a little tougher this year if you're in the East than if you're over in the West.
Jordan Howell, averaging 4 points a game, has now got 9. This might be his best outing as a Volunteer.
Vanderbilt got the timeout right there. You see their schedule.
That guy gets it, and he's going to get something done in that huddle over there right now that may not make a difference today, but it will somewhere down the road.
That's exactly right, Dave. You know, he's coaching for the next game, and that next game, every game is critical. He wants his guys to keep fighting, keep playing hard, keep executing. And there's a underneath out of bounds play, really the same series that Bruce Pearl runs, 4 on the baseline, and they just slip the ball inside for the easy one to Neltner.
Vanderbilt with a little full court pressure of their own, and Neltner gets called for the foul.
Well, that's not.
It's his fourth. Sorry,
that's not Vanderbilt's game, the full court pressure. They obviously have to try to do it here down 23, but Tennessee is very difficult to press with all the guards and the ball handlers they have on the floor.
Chisholm gets the free throw to go.
Chisholm came in today averaging 8.8 points per game, and he is, as you said, Dave Baker, I think so well, has had his coming out party against an in-state rival.
Cage got a good look, and he gets the 3 to go. 7 for Dan Cage. And Lofton draws the contact on the drive. Boy, that's a scary scenario right there. That's one of those deals when you see a guy like Lofton who's been hurt going down in a situation like that. You look at the clock and you look at the score, and that's one of those deals where assistant coaches are going, get him out, Bruce. Hey, coach.
Exactly.
We've got Arkansas down at the PMAC. And Lofton knocks them both down. He's got 16. And getting back up around average and maybe back to his old self. Tough pass, good catch, but Foster can't finish. And there's that backdoor play you talked about at the top of the show.
And Tennessee's defending it very well all day.
Chisholm got that rebound. He's got the double-double. And Smith pulls that one down. And the Tennessee Vols now about the task of just finishing off what arguably might be one of their biggest wins of the year because of what it means here in the stretch run.
Well, it's got to be their best performance in SEC play. And Lofton coming back, scoring the ball a little bit here this afternoon, I think gave Tennessee an emotional lift. But the story of this game has been Tennessee's defense. It has been tremendous.
Howell had that one rejected. But you know what? Not too many things have gone wrong for the Vols on this afternoon. We're coming back to finish her out after these messages from your local SEC station. There you see Wayne Chisholm, who's got the third double-double of his career. The big man from Bolivar has been size huge for the Vols on this day when they're trying to finish out what looks to be an impressive victory over Vanderbilt.
Again at practice yesterday, watching the assistant coaches work for Bruce Pearl. One of the things he mentioned was what an outstanding staff that he has, and Tony Jones, Jason Shea, and Steve Forbes. To give those guys a little love. They do a great job.
And there's Chisholm with rebound number 11. The Vanderbilt execution has not been what Kevin Stallings has been accustomed to, but the preponderance of the credit has to go to the fact that Tennessee took Vanderbilt out of its game.
Totally took them out with their defensive pressure, and Vanderbilt was not able to get any of the backdoor cuts that they like to get against that pressure. Couldn't get inside the defense because the on-ball defense by Tennessee was so good.
And you mentioned that defensive pressure, and if people hadn't seen this game, that must, you know, some people might say, oh gosh, they must have pressed the whole game. Very little pressure.
That's true.
Childress.
Bruce Pearl loves that because bonus points when that young man knocks down threes. Steady performer off the bench this year for Tennessee.
More than steady today with 9 points and 7 rebounds. And there's Childress on Foster. But a nice jumper by Shane Foster. And Vanderbilt takes a quick timeout.
We talked about the Tennessee assistant coaches. Kevin Stallings has with him Brad Frederick, Dan Mueller, King Rice, who was a great point guard at North Carolina under
Foster with 15 on the day as you take a look at our team. You know, you try never to feel old. But you mentioned King Rice earlier. Oh my gosh, when I saw King Rice as an assistant coach, I thought, man, it hadn't been that long since he played.
Listen, my friend, I tell you how old I am. I actually saw Kevin Stallings play in high school at Collinsville High School back in 1977-78. That's how far back I go. And he was good, but he was kind of cocky.
Was he?
And that's what made him such a good player, and I think has helped him with his coaching as well.
Smith buries the long jumper. And that's just kind of a microcosm of what kind of afternoon it's been here on Rocky Top. Beal misfires. And only a minute or so left in this one, as the Vols will ring up their 17th win of the season, and more importantly, get themselves to 500 in the SEC. And remember, for those of you who are standing by to see Arkansas and LSU, we're going to take you there in just a minute and 3 seconds. Bruce Pearl empties the bench, and the 21,000 here show their appreciation as Tab scores off the inbound. Beal is bumped, and he'll go to the free throw line for 2.
Well, you see the talent that Jermaine Beal has right there. He's a bigger, stronger point guard than Alex Gordon. Good upper body strength throw shooter is Beal. Some long faces right there. They'll live to see another day. They've got South Carolina coming up next week at home.
Of course, when you're a player in a situation like that, you want that day to come today. And it'll be interesting to see how the Commodores react as they head back to Nashville. Brown works it into the front court and can't get it to go. Vanderbilt held to a season low in terms of points, season low in terms of field goals made, season low in terms of field goal percentage. And this is Tennessee's biggest conference win at home in terms of margin of victory since the 04-05 season against LSU. The Vols ring up a hurting on the Commodores. Bruce Pearl and company now 5-5 in the SEC. For Joe Dean, our producer Dave Berenger, and our director Roy Alfers, I'm Dave Baker. Arkansas and LSU comes your way next.